If I said the name Zacchaeus, many people, if even just to themselves, would instinctively say, was a wee little man. And that song, which is so beloved by our children, adequately summarizes Jesus' interaction with this man of small stature. But some very important details escape the song, or at least get lost alongside the more visual descriptions of this man. We read in Luke 19 and verse 2 that Zacchaeus was a chief tax collector. Is that his status or his station in life? Or perhaps Zacchaeus had a large area of collection and was well known, but it's more likely that he was over multiple lower tax collectors and received payment from them. But either way, what this tells us is that Zacchaeus was a wealthy man. He was very well off. Tax collectors were despised by the Jewish religious elite. They were seen as men who had betrayed their country, their nation, and even their religion in order to serve the interests of the Roman Empire. Tax collectors often abused their position, exacting unreasonable and burdensome taxes upon their neighbors. Well, Zacchaeus was a chief abuser in their minds. The most important description of Zacchaeus is not his position or his height, but that he was a seeker, as we see in Luke 19 and verse 3. This short social outcast was a man who was seeking Jesus. He was not merely a superficial or passing interest. He did not allow his stature or his pride to prohibit a view of Jesus. He ran ahead of Jesus and ahead of the crowd and climbed up into a tree outside of the city just to catch a glimpse of the Savior. Zacchaeus' pursuit of Jesus took an unexpected turn as the Savior has all along been seeking him. Jesus said, "I must stay at your house today," Luke 19 and verse 5. And perhaps you're reminded of Jesus' need to pass through Samaria in John 4 and verse 4, and just so happened upon a Samaritan woman in John 4 verses 6 and 7. Now, while the crowd despised Jesus, none of the townspeople had offered Jesus a meal or lodgings, but Zacchaeus joyfully received Jesus. And it's not insignificant that Zacchaeus stood before Jesus and made a vow of generosity and restitution. Perhaps he had been regretting his accumulation of wealth at the expense of both the poor and those that had been defrauded, but the presence of Jesus prompted him to make this vow. Jesus made a statement to the crowd that salvation has come to this house, Luke 19 and verse 9. The statement that follows is perhaps the most significant in the Gospel of Luke, for the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost, Luke 19 verse 10. We see this description, the Son of Man was a favorite of Jesus. He used it some 80 times and understood in conjunction with the lesser used Son of God, which emphasized his deity. Son of Man refers to his humanity. We read in Hebrews 2 and verse 17, "Therefore he had to be made like his brothers in every respect, so that he might become a merciful and faithful high priest in the service of God, to make propitiation for the sins of the people." Being the Son of God, Jesus had the power to forgive sin, as we read in Mark 2 and verse 7. And by becoming the Son of Man, Jesus, it gave him the right to forgive, as we see in Colossians 2 verses 9 through 15. And this Son of Man does not sit upon his throne waiting. He is out seeking. If the devil is out seeking as a roaring lion, as Peter tells us in 1 Peter 5 and verse 8, then Jesus is out seeking as well, but he is seeking not as a roaring lion, but seeking as a gentle shepherd. And while Jesus is seeking, he will not force himself on the unwilling. We see in Mark 2 and verse 17, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. I came not to call the righteous, but to call sinners." And then in Luke 7 and verse 47, "Therefore I tell you, her sins, which are many, are forgiven, for she loved much. But he who is forgiven little, loves little." The Pharisees did not see the need for a seeking Savior. In their minds they were of their own merit righteous, and thus had little of which to be forgiven. But the sinful woman knew better, as did Zacchaeus and some of his tax-collecting friends. Friends, when Jesus seeks, we must be willing to be found. Even better, be like Zacchaeus. Be seeking after the Savior. Are you seeking after the Savior today? Are you striving to do His will in your life? Consider these things that we've discussed in our lesson today, and I pray that God blesses you with a wonderful day.